as you said, Chip, they already have an X next to their name. They have been eliminated from playoff contention, and they have had a crummy year, injury-riddled year. As you check out tonight's umpires, it must be a Brook night. Holbrook, Estabrook, then Iasonia and Vanover.
And I think Iasonia means brook in Italian, but I'm not sure.
Yes.
So we are ready to go tonight. Misty night in Atlanta. The weather forecast is supposed to improve as the night goes on. The field was covered by the tarp up until about 45 to 50 minutes ago, but we are set to go with Tommy Hanson. And as usual, pumps over a quick strike one to Luis Castillo, the 6th leading hitter in the National League this year for the Mets. You talk about one of the bright and pleasant surprises for New York, Joe. I think Castillo would have to be one of those guys for New York.
Yeah, he's 6th in the league in hitting and in the top 10 in on-base percentage. He's really stepped up in the absence of so many of their key players.
A couple of years ago, they were ready to run him out of town after signing that long-term contract, but really reinvigorated himself this spring, promised to come back in shape, have those knees ready to go for Jerry Manuel and New York. And give him credit, he has certainly lived up to his word.
Yeah, he's had to work hard at it, but it's paid off for him.
Over the mound, charging at second, Omar Fonte, and has to fire quickly. Good play, one out. Here's Corey Sullivan playing left field for New York. 2 homers, 13 RBIs for him. He's hitting .270 for the season. And the point about Tommy Hanson worth repeating. You're right, maybe the best performance of his major league career. Let's take away the mic. Was his best performance in his major league career against the Astros.
Yeah, it's a shame he didn't get to finish it. It's a shame he didn't come away with a win. 8 innings and 5 hits, shutout ball, no walks, 7 strikeouts, including the last 2 batters he faced in the 8th inning.
And I know Bobby's explanation for it was, look, we've got to take care of Tommy Hanson. He's pitching a number of innings this year that he's never pitched before. 66 of them in the minor leagues, 101 so far at the big league level, which is 30 more than at any other stop in the minor leagues.
I buy into that, Chip, except that don't forget to add in what he pitched in the Arizona Fall League last year. If you add those in to last season, he's right about the same number of innings. No reason why he can't expand on that a little bit this year and add on some.
And I think that's one of the great discussions that everybody in baseball, in the front offices, and the pitching coaches' offices, and the scouting departments, really I think is going to have in our sport is, are we helping or are we hurting the development of young pitchers by limiting their pitch counts and their innings in their early stages of a major league career?
How about that hook?
Pretty good.
That's a good question, Chip. I'm not sure how that question is going to be answered until guys start extending themselves a little bit, pitching a little deeper into ball games. He had this working in Houston the other night, that big over-the-top curve ball that acted like a changeup and, of course, a breaking ball. Sullivan, no shot there.
And there really is no roadmap for it. I mean, you can go back to when Nolan Ryan pitched in the 4-man rotations and all of that. It's a different era because Nolan Ryan came up through the minor leagues and was taught you start the game, you finish the game. As David Wright back from his concussion and still hitting .314 on the year, batting third for New York.
Check out Tommy Hanson in September. His ERA 0.69. And the months previous to that, they weren't too bad either. July a little higher than the others, but he's getting better, it seems, as the season goes on. That's why I like what Jim Tracy did in Colorado when he took over, Chip, and that was he basically told his starters, hey, get ready because you're going to pitch longer. Save the bullpen some.
And all we know is that Colorado club has been on an incredible tear under Jim Tracy. As David Wright flares one down the right side and fouled and out of play. Boy, Wright very fortunate not to have been very, very seriously hurt when he was hit in the head with a pitched ball by Matt Cain and the San Francisco Giants. Wright wore that experimental, much larger and much more padded protective batting helmet for a couple of games, dispensed with that. It seems to be no worse for wear in the middle of the Mets lineup. In fact, David, a couple of games ago, had a 2-homer game for New York, and as you see, they can't afford to have him out of the lineup.
No, I mean, check that out. Between he and Beltran and Delgado, Jose Reyes, are you kidding me? 9 games missed total between those 4 guys last year.
Over 1,000 injury games missed by this Mets ball club. But speaking of missing, the Mets aren't hitting Tommy Hansen's breaking ball in a very impressive top half of our first inning here in Atlanta.
Out red hot his last 9 games, and he had a good road trip. 11 for 25. Prado, Diaz, and McCann. Escobar, Anderson, and LaRoche, Fonte, and Hansen. And Pat Mish on the mound for the Mets. 28 years old, 6'2", 195, out of Northbrook. There's that Brook, Northbrook, Illinois. Originally with the Giants. Mets got him off waivers midsummer. 18 games overall.
Bouncing ball hit towards short. Anderson Hernandez makes the play. And Nate McLeod is retired for the first out in the bottom half of our first inning of the play. Mets are making do without Jose Reyes at shortstop. And on the outfield, Joe Sullivan, Beltran, and Francoeur. They're glad to have Beltran back out there. Francoeur with 11 assists, by the way, and pretty good around the horn, too. And we'll see how Josh Tolle throws behind the plate with Pat Mish on the mound.
Murphy hasn't exactly been a gold glover over there at first. 9 errors in 87 games.
So he's a drop kick Murphy, is that what you're saying?
Could be, yes.
Here's Martin Prado. Remember, Murphy began the year in left field for New York and had all kinds of trouble catching the baseball out there. But he's playing in place of Carlos Delgado, who's hopeful of coming back for the Mets this season, although that hip still bothersome for him. And a pop-up off the bat of Prado to David Wright on the left side of the Mets infield. And 2 are out.
Breeze blowing in from center field toward the Mets dugout. Mish is a guy who's got to be real fine with his control. He doesn't have anything overpowering, sinker, slider, curveball guy, but he's got to be on the corners and try to get some ground balls.
And you mentioned let go by the San Francisco Giants. There's no embarrassment in that. You can understand how difficult it would be if you don't throw the ball 95 miles an hour to make that New York Met rotation, or the San Francisco Giant rotation. It's that ball olayed at short by Hernandez. And Matty Diaz aboard with the first hit of the game for Atlanta.
Some plays you feel like making a play, and some plays you don't. This was a little too hot for Mr. Hernandez to get in front of, and definitely olayed that one. Diaz 5 for his last 13. Continues to rake left-handed pitching.
So Brian McCann a chance to hit with a man aboard and 2 out. A scoreless first inning. And he's done a good job against Met pitching this year. 14 hits in 38 tries with 3 home runs.
Had that big hit Saturday when the Braves, after giving up the lead in the bottom of the 8th, came back and won it in the 9th. Here's Ryan Franklin.
Got away with a high breaking ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes. I don't know about you. I just can't figure out this club.
It's tough.
When you get swept by the Reds, you figure it's over. Then they go to Houston, take 2 out of 3. Should have swept them, then swept the Cardinals. Now back home for 6 games within the division. In fact, that's a big advantage the Braves have. They can make up a lot of ground if they, and frankly, they got to start sweeping and continue to sweep some opponents.
Yeah.
But they're not dead yet.
They're going to look back at the end of this season, though, and wonder what did we do wrong against Pittsburgh and Cincinnati and San Diego that other teams didn't do wrong. Because the Braves overall against sub-500 teams are playing about 500. They're playing pretty good baseball against the better teams.
What's the point of our open? This is a club that during the glory years was almost impossible to beat in this park. That hasn't been the case this year.
It's true.
3-2 pitch. Diaz runs and McCann lines it over short. Clean hit. Over quickly Sullivan, but not fast enough to keep the Braves from first and third with 2 outs. Beautiful approach for Brian McCann. 2 straight 2-out hits for the Braves.
He's had some real good at-bats on the road trip and brings it home with him. Goes with that pitch out away from it, hits it hard. He's 9 for his last 14. And sets up a guy with the best average of runners in scoring position in the National League to put the Braves on top early.
And that man is Yunel Escobar, who's hitting .398 with runners in scoring position this year. You talk about turning point moments for a Braves ball club in the course of the season. There have been a couple that have involved Yunel Escobar. As this ball fisted, and that's a fair ball knocked down by Murphy at first. And the side is retired. We'll talk more about Yunel Escobar's year as we move along to a scoreless 2nd inning.
Fans, it's time for the know-how question of the game built by the Home Depot. And if you have a question for us tonight, send an email, and if chosen, we'll answer it later in the game. Send that email to braves@peachtreetv.com. Please tell us your name and where you're from. And remember, more saving, more doing. That's the power of Home Depot.
And speaking of power, Carlos Beltran is in for the New York Mets. He's hit 9 home runs this year, despite missing most of the season with a bone bruise on his knee that they were very concerned might require microfracture knee surgery. That fortunately isn't the case. And right now, Tommy Hansen's breaking stuff is unhittable.
Chip, he's caused a lot of funny swings. Javi Vasquez did that in St. Louis. Some guys were taking some crazy swings, including Albert Pujols. Brave starters right now are just firing great.
In fact, reading the St. Louis papers after the Braves swept the Cardinals, the consensus that I was able to read was all the Cardinal hitters were muttering, how is this staff not in postseason consideration, as well as they threw at Busch Stadium?
Well, I know after the Giants left town and they salvaged one game here when Zito pitched well, the Braves took 3 out of 4. I know they made believers out of Mike Krukow, a former big league pitcher, and Dwayne Kuiper, a former major league player.
Breaking ball whacked towards second. 4 up, 4 down for Hansen.
Who said at that point, because of the Braves pitchers and starting rotation, they would be the team to beat for the wild card. Braves starters ERA last year 11th. They are 2nd this year, and that number is going down.
And the man you saw on the right of that picture on the bench, Derek Lowe on the left, Javi Vasquez on the right. Javi named the National League Player of the Week today, and certainly, partner, you saw him pitch his last 2 games. Can't do any better than he threw the ball.
No, 7 innings of shutout ball in Houston, and then 8 innings of complete mastery over the Cardinals Sunday. Gave up 2 runs in the 9th, but outstanding. Bobby Cox said it was reminiscent of a Greg Maddux masterpiece, the way he pitched the first 8 innings.
So he's 2 2/3 innings away from 200 again in his big league career. He's already well over the 200 strikeout mark. And I guess if you look at this Braves ball club being reconstructed by Frank Wren as a process, the first assignment was upgrade this team's pitching. And a broken bat liner will trickle down the right field line off the bat of Danny Murphy. And he is on his way to second, where he'll stand with a 1-out double. There goes the no-hit bid by Tommy Hansen. Murphy aboard for Jeff Francoeur.
You know, they addressed the pitching in a big way. Vasquez, Lowe, Kawakami. And of course, with the return of Tim Hudson, talking to a scout tonight before the ball game, he was commenting that no one has the starting pitching depth that the Braves have, especially when you think that Kawakami is in the bullpen as well as he's pitched in the second half.
So there's part of the Braves pitching rotation as Jeff Francoeur bats for the Mets for the first time. Well, you talk about change for the better. Jeff Francoeur is a different hitter with this New York Met ball club. His average all the way up to 275. He leads their club in home runs with 12.
And you hear people within their camp say that he's been their best player, hitting .309 as a Met. 7 of his 12 homers with New York.
And it's funny, when the trade was announced of Ryan Church to Atlanta, Jeff Francoeur to New York, Jerry Manuel was quoted as saying, well, one thing we really liked about Francoeur is that he's in the lineup every day. And people up in New York thought that was a laughable statement. As it turns out, it was extremely important for them.
Yeah, because of all their injuries.
Right.
He went to the post every day, and then Wright got hurt, got hit by the pitch. And it became even more important.
And Jeff playing with a torn ligament in his left thumb that will require surgery at the end of the season for the Mets. He injured that trying to make a diving catch earlier this summer, but it hasn't affected him at the plate. Live fastball, though, blows him right away at 94 and humming. Third strikeout for Tommy Hanson.
And I know I'm going back to the Houston start again, Chip, but that was, again, a pitch where all of a sudden his fastball had a little more hop on it. 92, 94, 95. I mean, we were used to seeing it in the low 90s, but in Houston it was consistently in the mid 90s and able to throw above the hands, pitch above the waist, and get away with it.
So Josh Tole. I got no shot.
No shot,
I'm going to call him T-Money. 421 for the Mets. That's 8 for 19. Had a very good year working down at Double-A, and the Mets think he might be their catcher of the future. He's the catcher of the present tonight.
And you sure it's not Thole? Okay.
I asked Ron Darling, and he said Tole.
Okay.
And Ron went to Yale.
That's good enough for me.
Yes.
He's having a good year in Double-A. Hit 328 for their Binghamton club. You hit 328 in the Eastern League, you've had a heck of a year.
Oh, it's outside.
A little smoke moving across the field from the Gas South Fire Pyrotechnics after a strikeout.
Either that or this game's been moved to San Francisco and we don't know it. And 4 straight puts the catcher aboard with 2 men out. First walk of the game for Tommy Hanson, who didn't walk a soul last time out against the Astros.
I'm not even sure how many 3-ball counts he went to in that start.
Anderson Hernandez, the batter.
Any other time, Chip, if Anderson Hernandez is on the Mets team and he's got 34 RBIs, you go, wow, what a contribution he's made off the bench, spelling Reyes and Castillo. But that's not the case. He's been in there every day practically since the injury to Reyes.
Reyes out with a hamstring tear.
Oh, my. What's wrong with that?
1 ball, 1 strike. Now McCann out for a chat with the count at 1-2. You were a hitter in the major leagues, and hitters will tell you as much about a pitcher's stuff as the radar gun will, perhaps even more than that. On our Sunday broadcast, we get a chance to see the Red Sox and the Yankees and the like, and I sat down with Mark Teixeira with New York, and I asked him, what'd you think of Tommy Hanson? And he gave him the ultimate compliment. He said, nasty. Future ace, book it.
Yeah.
Great pitcher.
Well, these Mets are at a decided disadvantage here, at least first time through the order, because they haven't seen him.
Oh, the old get off me ball.
Yeah.
Wow, that ball disappeared.
He Olayed a grounder before, and now he's Olaying a pitch.
He's 0 for 1 at the plate, but 2 for 2 on misses.
Hospital injury report gives a perfect balance of health and care at Piedmont Hospital, the preferred health care provider of the Atlanta Braves. Visit PiedmontHospital.org. And that injury report list, anyway, is a little smaller than it was earlier in the season. Jorge Campillo and Jordan Schaefer will not play the rest of the season as they recover from their respective surgeries. Jordan Schaefer hoping to be ready for spring training. Should be after some wrist surgery.
And Garrett Anderson starts off the Atlanta second with a strike. Garrett in his first National League season, 12 homers, 54 runs batted in. And yanks it foul for a quick second strike. This guy can hit.
Yep. And anybody that throws him a fastball is just crazy. See? I mean, that was all over him. That was right in on his belt buckle, and he's wearing the tarp out over there. Target's in, pitches in, and he just puts the barrel on it.
Line to right field, but Frenchie makes the running catch. And Garrett Anderson is out number one.
Here's what I mean, Chip, about him having to be perfect. Look at this target down low and away, wanted it in the dirt, and he hangs a curveball. His stuff's not good enough to miss that much from location and get away with it. He's fortunate that that one was hit right at Jeff.
Adam LaRoche, the batter for the Braves, with 22 home runs this year. Well, Mish has got to be a prototypical guy that is going to be seriously helped by his home ballpark. And Citi Field in New York is an absolutely great pitcher's ballpark. Conversely, the Mets not nearly as good offensively in their home yard. In fact, at home, the Mets have hit just 46 home runs this year. So even if you miss your spot, hitter has to be awfully strong to try to get it out in that very big, spacious National League ballpark in the Big Apple.
Mets are just finishing the season, hoping they can get everybody well during the offseason and start fresh in April. Too many serious injuries this year.
20 players on the DL at one time or the other. As that ball is launched deep to right field, and Adam LaRoche leaves the yard. Got a cookie on 3-1, and he didn't miss it.
I'm not sure, but I thought that might have been a breaking ball that he left up again. Fastball, just a high 3-1 fastball. He leveled off on 24th.
So 1-0 Atlanta on the LaRoche home run. And Omar Infante is the hitter for the Braves. He's hit a couple of homers at a .290 average.
Omar's swing hasn't been quite what it was before he got hit on the hand when he was just tearing it up. But check out what he does against the top 10 pitchers in the National League. In wins, ERA, and strikeouts, I'd say he fares pretty well against those guys. .583 against the top strikeout pitchers.
And again, when you talk about turning points in a season for this Braves team, when he went out, that was as devastating a blow as anything that happened in this ball club. And that includes the struggles of Jordan Schaefer, the struggles of Jeff FRANCOEUR at the plate.
I couldn't agree more.
Line into left. Braves already have 4 hits in this game. And indeed, they are mashing Mish in the first inning and a third tonight.
Stayed up all night, didn't you?
Oh, of course.
How have you been? I haven't seen you in a long time. Any more kids?
Not yet, as far as I know.
Okay.
We Macedonians are known for that, you know.
Uh-huh.
No, everything's
I
good.
really didn't know that.
No. There's probably too much information. No, everything's good.
Good.
Good to be back with you. Of course, been away from Atlanta so long, I forgot that it's still kind of warm this time of year. Not the long sleeve semi-sweater thing going.
Because it had really turned cold down in Orlando, hadn't it?
Yeah. Pop back foul. Off bat of Tommy Hanson. And a quick strike for him. Well, let's see if the Braves can get this kid a win. Boy, 10 in your rookie year is pretty impressive. He's 9-3 so far. And again, watching Tommy Hanson pitch, he has that indescribable thing that every pitching coach and manager looks for when they see a young pitcher. And you know more about it than I. That mound presence. It means so many different things to so many people. What does it mean to you when you see Tommy?
A guy who's in complete command of himself out there, who knows what he wants to do, knows how to go about it, doesn't get upset if a couple of things go wrong, doesn't get upset with everything else blowing up around him. He still knows that he has a job to do and executes. I think Tommy, at an early age, is able to do that.
And as a hitter, what does that do to you?
Well, you just know you can't get in his head. You're not going to be able to rattle him any. You know that you've got a fight on your hands every at bat. You see some guys pawing around on the dirt or going to the rosin bag after every pitch or barking at the umpire, whatever. You know, you might be able to get to the guy a little bit.
He'll try to help himself and lay down a bunt. He does not yet have a sacrifice bunt this year, but he does now. Runner to second with 2 outs. I take that back, Tommy. I've been away so long, I thought it was Hudson. Tim Hudson doesn't have one. Tommy's got 6.
Well, Huddy's got homers.
Yes, so my mistake. 6 sacrifices for Hanson. I beg your pardon. Got to ease into this stuff, you know.
It's all right.
Nate McLeod, top of the order. That is McLeod, right?
That's McLeod.
All right.
I thought Hanson was the only rookie here tonight, but
you know better than that. McLeod hitting 270. He takes the strike.
You mentioned the playoff possibilities for the Braves and how with the days dwindling, their chances get slimmer and slimmer. But as Bobby keeps saying, Matt Dye has repeated it, as long as you're not mathematically eliminated, you got to keep playing hard and you got to hold out some hope.
Just ask the Mets the last 2 years.
Right.
Adam LaRoche hits a long home run, and the Braves have a second. Gray King in the Atlanta Center for Cosmetic Dentistry, the place in Atlanta to get a beautiful smile. Pat Mish 0 for 8. Now has an 0-1 count.
Tommy's confidence in all of his pitches just keeps growing, Chip, and I think that's part of why he's been so successful here the last month and a half, is that he knows he can throw any of them for strikes, and they're all out pitches. 4-1 in August, and no record, no decisions this month, but an ERA under 1.
And so it begs the question. Obviously, we're biased, but is Tommy Hanson the Rookie of the Year in the National League this year?
Well, he is for me, and I am biased. Readily admit it. We talk a lot about how, with any luck, Javi Vasquez could have, 16 wins, 17 wins with a little offensive support, or if the bullpen had not let a couple of his leads get away.
Inside corner, that's his 5th strikeout in the game, and a good start to the New York third.
I can't honestly say that that's the case for Tommy, that he ought to have 12 or 13 wins, because there have been a couple of games where he's gotten knocked around and he got enough run support where they covered up some games where he gave up a ton of runs. So the game the other night against Houston was, for Tommy anyway, a rarity where the bullpen was not able to protect the lead for him. So should he have 10? Absolutely. Could he have 12? Maybe. But I think he's about where, from a result standpoint, he probably expected to be.
And with Jay Happ of the Phillies putting together a very similar season to Tommy Hanson, if those voters are leaning toward a pitcher for the Rookie of the Year honor, I would think those two men are going to split that particular vote. Does that then open the door for a Garrett Jones of the Pirates or a Chris Coughlin of the Florida Marlins in your mind?
I think Coughlin's the guy that stepped into that breach, in that he's done so well, and he's just, nobody knew much about him until the last probably 2 or 3 weeks, but he's been absolutely outstanding.
Now 47 hits in August. That's going to open your eyes as a rookie player, and he's got the highest average among rookies with 307 mark.
And it was the August Player of the Month, edging out Hanson for the August Player of the Month award.
So that'll be a fun race to follow over the final 3 weeks of the season.
I would say there's going to be some voters impressed with what Jay Happ has done for the Phillies too, because he was in their rotation from day one. And when they had a lot of injuries, he was their best pitcher.
But he's banged up right now for the Philadelphia club. So again, how do you, that's the great mystery of that particular voting thing. What is the thought process of the people filling out the ballot? You just don't know what they're going to value more.
No, and Wells has been good for the Cubs.
Sure.
You saw those win totals there, and he's there at the top with 10, and he's pitched great for the Cubs in a big market. A lot of exposure.
Line toward left. Garrett Anderson chug it on and makes the catch. A sliding catch by Garrett Anderson in left. He'll replace the divot, and he'll get another look for the second out.
Wow, what a play. Castillo hits the ball that way a lot. Martin Prado tried to help Garrett out a little bit, had his arms in the air, and Garrett goes to the turf and hangs on. Nice play.
So 2 quick outs for Corey Sullivan. And he rolls to first baseman Adam LaRoche. Hanson does his job, and he breezes through the top of the third. Glad you're with us tonight on Peachtree TV. Atlanta leads it by a run. AirTran Airways home run inning, where one lucky fan will have a chance to win free airfare for two if the Braves hit a homer this inning. Visit PeachTreeTV.com/Braves for the official rules and enter for your chance to win. At AirTran Airways, go. There's nothing stopping you. Martin Prado will start things off. He popped out to David Wright his first time up. Going back to our point about the process that Frank Wren has undertaken in rebranding, remolding, remaking, rebuilding, whatever term you want to use for the Braves ball club. As that ball skied to center, and Beltran back up a couple of steps. We talked about how he's dramatically overturned the pitching staff, much for the better, at least as far as the starters are concerned. As you look at this club offensively for 2010, what do they need? What do they need to do?
They need some pop. They need some home run hitters. They need some run producers. But more than anything, they've got to try to improve their power numbers.
Matt Diaz has hit 10 home runs and finds himself down a strike. There are a lot of names on the Braves roster that are in the last year of their contract. Adam LaRoche is one of them. Braves know he's a second half hitter. Braves know he has a lot of power, and he's provided that for this Atlanta team, including a home run tonight. Is he on the radar, do you think, for next year?
Oh, I think he'd have to be, given the way he's played.
Diaz hit on the toe.
Man, has he been getting hit a lot lately? I think he's been hit by pitches 12 times now in the year. Yeah, 12. Got him right when he tried to kind of slide back, but he didn't get that right foot back far enough. Oh, you know what? He was already kind of grimacing like, I didn't go back far enough. Man.
Might need to borrow a pitcher's shoe tomorrow. As McCann digs in, Brian with a single the other way his first time up. So a little more power, certainly more speed would be nice for this Braves ball club. And as you look at this home field for Turner Field in Atlanta, don't you have to have one of those elements to be successful here long term?
Yes, you do. It's just, where do you find those guys? I mean, you got the minor league baseball America minor league player of the year that's, you know, not too far away in Hayward, and he's got some power and would be a corner outfield guy. That's where you would expect to try to find someone to do that from a position standpoint. I don't know who's on the free agent market this year, and if there's the willingness, or B, the financial wherewithal to explore the free agent market this winter to get some more power. But
yeah, Matt Holliday may be the biggest ticket guy out there as a free agent for pure, unadulterated sluggers.
Yeah, and I like him. Everybody likes him. He hits, especially back in the National League. But that is going to be a high-ticket guy, that's for sure.
Fisted toward left. Sullivan got a good jump. And let's face it, the economy being what it is, I think that's going to be one of the most interesting subplots this offseason for free agents in Major League Baseball. What kind of contracts are they going to get? How many years are they going to get? With attendance down in many of the Major League cities this year, how many dollars are going to be spread around, and what kind of a deal is a Matt Holliday going to get for the 2010 season?
Well, I think it started in some respects this past winter, with the exception of what the Yankees did with Teixeira, Sabathia, and Burnett. Braves certainly jumped in the middle of that with Derek Lowe, but I think the other guys had a hard time, some of them, finding jobs.
Out the middle, nice pick by Castillo. And that retires Yunel Escobar and ends the Atlanta third. No winners in our AirTran Airways home run inning game. Register at PeachTreeTV.com/Braves for official rules and your chance to win. David Wright, Carlos Beltran, and Danny Murphy up for the Mets in their half of the fourth inning. Glad you're with us tonight. As Tommy Hanson makes another attempt for his 10th big league win tonight. He leads by a run. He has struck out 5 men, has issued 1 walk. And David Wright on the very first pitch. An easy roller to short. 1 man down.
And with 1 out, time for tonight's Toyota Tacoma trivia question. Here comes the truck and the question: who is the only player to have 2 walk-off hits in the World Series? And I'm assuming that was in the same World Series? No, forever. In as many World Series as they ever played in their whole lives, they had 2. Give you the answer later. Bottom half of the inning.
Joe Carter. Bill Mazeroski.
That Lynn Dykstra.
Good call. Outside to Beltran.
I know he had 1 walk-off with the Mets, but I can't remember if that was a playoff game or if it was in the World Series against the Red Sox. Remember the postseason that this guy had when he went from Kansas City to Houston and just put the Astros on his shoulders and took them to the World Series?
The Braves remember it.
Yeah. What do you have, 7 homers in that postseason? Mercy.
That was a B.J. Upton-like run.
Well, it was terrific timing on his part.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I was working with the Cubs the year before, and the Astros came to Wrigley Field in the heat of a pennant race with Chicago, and they had to not get swept. They won 3 out of 4, kept their playoff hopes alive. Beltran was a big part of that. Had they lost that series, there was some talk that Beltran was going to be traded to the Cubs that year. Wow. Instead, they win the series, he stays, and the rest, they say, is history as he draws a 1-out walk. Now, again, that was just rumor and conjecture, but you know, the old adage, those trades you don't make, how they can affect the fortunes of not 1 but 2. And 27, 8, 9 other teams, that certainly might have been the case. Yes, Carlos Beltran.
Alcalima looked it up. It was 8 home runs he hit in that postseason too, not 7.
Well, whether you're a Mets fan or not, he is one of the premier players in the game, and you like to see the stars back and playing well. And Beltran's doing that right now as Murphy's up. Murphy doubled his first time, a little broken bat liner over the first baseman Adam LaRoche's head. And that's the only hit New York has in this game. They have stranded a pair of runners. Stanson has pitched very well, but now missing regularly, and Brian McCann out for a quick visit. Phillies winning tonight, beating the Nationals. That's 5-0 in the 4th inning. Houston over the Reds 4-2. Roy Oswalt, by the way, is 23-1 lifetime against Cincinnati in his big league career. All the other action just about ready to start in the Central Time Zone. Rockies are in San Francisco tonight. Ubaldo Jimenez against Barry Zito. That's obviously of great importance for the Braves in the wild card race.
For Carlos Beltran at first base, one of the knocks on him in recent years has been that he doesn't play enough games, that he's out of the lineup a lot. Well, you know what? Last year he missed 1 game. That's all he missed. The year before he played in 144. The year before that 140, and then his first year in New York 151.
Double play ball. There's one. Escobar's arm takes care of the rest, and Hanson gets the ground ball he wanted and sends this game to the middle of the 4th inning. 4-6-3. Braves up a run and looking for more.
thinking Mets because they're in town, so I'm thinking like Tommy Agee. Goose Goslin probably would have been my, like, I don't know, seventh pick. He was with the Tigers at the time, so it had nothing to do with the Mets. Foiled again. Goose Goslin.
Oh, and Howell rubs it in. A goose egg for us, he said. Driven down the right field line, but pulled foul by Garrett Anderson. It's 0-2.
Goose for Howell in a minute.
Well, he said we only have a handful of games left together on Peachtree. It's our final exam. The questions, he said, are going to be tough. How about the Tigers?
Goslin, though. Come on. Yeah, Tigers pretty good.
Did Ernie Harwell see him play? Ernie Harwell, 91 years young, being honored at Tiger Stadium. I believe it's tomorrow night. Ernie was diagnosed with an incurable form of cancer and is going to be saluted at Comerica Park tomorrow night. One of the game's great gentlemen. Hopeful of seeing those Tigers make a playoff run this year.
Bad news on that front. What a wonderful guy. Ernie's from Georgia, isn't he?
Line into left center field. That'll get down in front of Beltran, and that ball skipped on him. Anderson's going to try for two. Throw cut off and late. He was sniffing double out of the batter's box. And leads off the fourth inning in good shape.
Made a terrific sliding catch earlier tonight. And now right out of the box, as you said, Chip, he's thinking two and makes it. 23rd double.
So that's an important run out there for the Braves. Let's see if, at the very least, Adam LaRoche can move him along. Adam parked one. His 23rd National League home run this year. Made it 1-0. Beltran misread that ball. That's over his head. Anderson around third. Relay throw on the way to the plate and late. Not much wind to speak of on the playing field, but high above the scoreboard it is swirling out there, and Beltran flat out missed it.
He certainly did misjudge it. This ball was smoked, though. Adam hit it hard. And while the wind is blowing in a little bit, maybe he didn't expect it to carry that far, or maybe he just flat out misjudged it because he missed it by a pretty good distance. Garrett was going to advance on the catch. Never expecting Beltran to miss one, the Gold Glover. But Adam LaRoche hit a 1-iron over his head.
So a 2 RBI night for the Braves first baseman, and Infante the batter. Again, his job, move him along, increase this Atlanta lead. Right about Ernie Harwell, the pride of Washington, Georgia, and Wilkes County. Their claim to fame, besides having been the birthplace of Ernie Harwell, more antebellum homes per capita than any other town its size in Georgia. Sounds like a beautiful place.
Sure does.
And how interesting is it that two of the greatest Tigers both hail from Georgia. Ty Cobb from Royston.
Yeah, I'm glad they're doing something for Ernie. Mish last start came against Florida last week. Got beat 6-3. 6 innings, 6 hits, gave up 5 runs, didn't walk anybody, and only fan 1. He has not walked anyone tonight, and he has not struck out anyone. He has hit a batter. Mets starting pitchers ERA right now the highest since their first year. The team that lost 120 games, the 1962 Mets.
Line into center field, base hit. 1 hop bounce to Beltran. And the Braves have him in the corners with nobody out. 3 straight Braves hits. Off Pat Mish, who's being greeted very rudely the second time through the order.
2 good swings tonight by Infante already. That might indicate his left hand's feeling a little better. 1 through the hole into left field, and now 1 to straightaway center.
And again, when you talk about that Met ERA, Johan Santana's hurt, hasn't been right most of this year for Jerry Manuel, John Maine, Mike Pelfrey,
Oliver Perez.
Yes, I mean, it's talking with Ron Darling before the ball game. He said it has been a disastrous year for the Mets.
Tony Barnazard made headlines with some of the comments he made to minor leaguers, who was the assistant to the GM, Omar Minaya. He was relieved of his duties. It has been a disaster.
And then factor in the great unknown when it comes to the Mets ownership. The Wilpon family apparently was victimized by the Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme, right. And the reports are widely distributed, and no matter the number, it's a horrifying tally, between $300 million and $700 million, and that can't help but affect the way the Mets go about their business. As the bunt is beautifully dropped down, runner to second, first out. Hansen, 2 sacrifices in this game, now 7 for the year.
That was a dangerous defensive setup there for the Mets. If LaRoche had a little more speed, I mean, he could come down the third base line with right as far as David was going, and then wait to see who's going to field the ball. Now, if he comes on down in this area, and then it's picked up and immediately thrown to first, he could just practically walk home.
That's a play Chuck Tanner loved when he was the manager of the Braves.
If Adam felt a little more adventurous there, he might have been able to.
But playing at safety first with the top of the order up and already ahead by 2. We'll see if McLeod can pick up a couple of RBIs with a hit tonight. He's 0 for 2 in the game. And Mish misses high, 1 ball, no strikes.
Did you say Mish tie? Oh, Mish missed high.
Yeah.
Okay.
What? I probably did.
No,
I mean, wouldn't surprise me. 2-0 Atlanta. The lead, just 1 hit allowed by Tommy Hansen. Now you got me paranoid.
So, that was the point.
Oh, thanks. I sure missed you. Wild count.
Oh, it's inside.
It's inside ball, too. When he's been able to stay on the field, McLeod has done a fine job.
I know this. He's got some pop in that bat. A home run out deep in the bullpen in Houston in right center field. It was a poke. It was a McLeod.
I like it. All night, huh? The 2-1 pitch. Bounced foul. Past first.
Come on, kid. Get him in here.
Braves hit a couple balls in that series in Houston that were obviously long home runs, but a couple more that would have been long balls just about any place else but Houston.
Yeah, straightaway center, you're right.
I love Towles Hill. I know you hate it.
Yeah, I do.
Love watching those guys climb the hill. 2-2.
Boy.
McLeod protects the right to stay alive.
Invitation to injury. like it was about 4 or 5 inches off the plate outside, and Nate still got a piece of it.
Wow.
Tip off for a kid.
That buckled Mish's knees. Watch him. He thought he had the strikeout. Didn't get the call, and then, oh.
That might have been a mistake.
Might have been.
Boy.
Left-handers are getting some good swings off of him, Chip, and I think it's largely because he just doesn't have a good enough fastball to keep him honest. They can kind of hang out over the plate. Remember the base hit that McCann had in the first inning? Went the other way. It was like he was saying, I can fight your fastball off, but I'm going to have the outer third covered.
Is he a guy that throws too many strikes for a guy without overpowering stuff?
I think he's a guy who doesn't have that one pitch to make the hitters say, I got to be ready for this pitch, whether it's a changeup, whether it's a curveball. He doesn't have that one pitch that's in the batter's head that it could be coming here.
Line drive center field. That'll turn to gold. That'll score LaRoche. Infante gets the green light. McLouth indeed does the job. 3-run inning for Atlanta and a 4-run Atlanta lead.
Set up in part by the good bunt by Henson. Good at bat by Nate. That's something else we see from him a lot, Chip, is a long at bat, good knowledge of the strike zone. He'll fight off some good pitches and get something he likes. No activity in the Mets bullpen. It's a little bit like St. Louis the other day. The Braves got 6 runs after 2 were out. I mean, it happened so fast. Nobody was even loosening up behind Chris Carpenter.
You talk about shocking turns of events. That game against Carpenter is one of them. And McLouth picked off by Mish. 1, 3, and 6 is the second out in the 4th inning. Carpenter hadn't lost in a couple of months for the Cardinals. And the Braves beat him like he was a minor leaguer.
And for Nate McLouth, one of the few times he's been caught stealing. 4th of the year against 17 steals.
Max clear, 2 outs for Martin Prado. Cardinals are hosting the Marlins tonight. That game just underway at Busch Stadium. As we told you earlier, with Colorado losing last night, Florida losing, Braves picked up ground without playing at all last night. So that's certainly good news.
Lance Broadway now loosening up for the Mets. What a great name for a New York pitcher.
Just thinking the same thing. 0-2. And driven to right. Jeff Francoeur at the edge of the warning track.
Ball's carrying a little bit. Sure is. What burned Beltran earlier tonight.
4 hits for Atlanta, 3 runners across. Head to the 5th inning. Braves continue their offensive outburst. They're in front of the Mets by 4.
brought to you by Jameson Inns. Atlanta-based Jameson Inns ranked #1 in guest service nationwide for 5 straight years. Check into Jameson Inns and experience our new pillow top premium beds and the best in Southern hospitality. Jameson Inns, you deserve a new deal.
Well, you can't pitch much better than Tommy Hansen's pitching again tonight. He's allowed the Mets 1 hit. He has struck out 5. He's walked 2 and leads now by a gigantic lead of 4-0 in the 5th. And that letter high fastball has been letter perfect for him tonight. Early in the game, his slider was crackling. Now his fastball's humming. He struck out FRANCOEUR's first time he faced him. Now gets him to pop up a breaking ball. Shallow center. Out goes Infante. And he's there. FRANCOEUR 0 for 2.
How about this? We talk about this quite often, Chip, about how when your team scores, you need to go out and shut down the other team. Keep the momentum on your side. Among the Braves pitchers in innings after Atlanta scores, and they just put 3 on the board, Tommy Hansen is second on the staff to Javi Vasquez in ERAs after those runs have been scored for him. So good work by the kid.
Keep that momentum in your dugout.
I like that. I like that number. Thank you, Halgalima.
T-Money, the Mets catcher, walked his first time up on 4 pitches.
T-Money. Told when this guy gets 2 strikes on him, he'll spread out and take up the whole batter's box and choke up about 6 inches on the bat, trying not to strike out. He's already choked up a couple of inches.
Just 22 years old, and pulls it into the seats foul.
Let's see if he goes into that emergency stance.
Not much power in the minor leagues. In 5 minor league seasons, he hit just 8 home runs and over 1,300 at bats. But as Joe mentioned, nearly a .300 career hitter in the minor leagues.
There he is, but it wasn't enough.
Second strikeout for Hansen.
Spread out, bent over, choked up. Didn't help. How wide his stance is, how high up on the bat he is, and still chase that good slider down and in.
6th strikeout, 2 outs, and this is an interesting confrontation for Hansen. When you see a young pitcher manage the game, here's one of those spots where you really want to see him get this 8th place hitter. We'll explain the reason for that in a second as Hernandez pops it out of play for a strike.
Well, he did that the other night in Houston a couple of times. I'd have to go back in my scorebook and look it up, but where even in tough spots where you thought, well, he'll pitch around this guy so that he can get to Wandy Rodriguez, to pitch to Wandy, but he didn't do that. He got the 8th hitter, the catcher Quintero, so he'd have Wandy leading off just like he did right here.
Or you force the manager to make a move and burn a couple players, and Hansen indeed a 1-2-3 top half of inning number 5.
presented by authority of the Atlanta Braves and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Atlanta Braves.
Well, great movies every night indeed on Peachtree TV, and Tommy Hansen, a Hollywood script being followed for him tonight. He's got a one-hit shutout working as the Braves come up in the bottom half of inning number 5 here at Turner Field. Ground ball to short. And Diaz retired.
Come on, Mac.
One away for Brian McCann, who's 1 for 2.
Braves aren't sure when Chipper Jones is going to come back and play, but they're hoping that throwing feels a little better by tomorrow on a day-to-day basis.
Talked to Chipper about that before the game tonight. He said if needed, he can pinch hit. Big concern is that leg area is still tender enough that one false move and it would be over for the year. And obviously with the Braves not eliminated, they can't afford to risk that with him playing at third base. So we'll wait and see. But I think that's another thing about which the Braves have to be encouraged. No matter what the outcome of this 2009 season, wherever in years past when Chipper would go out, this team offensively folded. They didn't have enough.
Right.
I think they've been able to more than hold up their end of the bargain, whether Chipper plays or not. Driven deep to right field, long run, FRANCOEUR, and he gets there. Good play. And that robs Brian McCann. Frenchie had to go a long way. That ball hung up for the second out.
And he'll tell McCann later tonight you should have hit it harder. But here's what I was talking about earlier about Mish. That's a big breaking ball that he threw behind Brian to try to get him to flinch, and he didn't. He stayed right in there, waited for it, and put good wood on it.
Well, he gets the second out, and here's Yunel Escobar. We talked about earlier season-changing moments for some of these Braves players individually. You and I were working the night that Escobar took exception with the official scoring call on an error that was charged to him. He's been a different guy since that outburst and since the negative reaction that came from his reaction on the field.
I can't get over what a transformation that has taken place for this guy. One error since then. That was at San Diego in early August. But he just seems happier. He's got a smile on his face. He's playing great baseball. He is working on his English and his language barrier. He will engage you. I mean, certainly, he'll always say hello. And if you talk to him, he would try to exchange with you the best he could. But now he's able to put a sentence together or a couple of words together that makes sense in terms of what he's doing or a play he made. And a great difference in him and his overall way about going about his business since that night.
And other players will tell you where a player should be. That's something Joe Torre said about Derek Jeter the other day out in San Francisco. And there was an interesting quote in the papers today of Kendry Morales, who's making a bid for the MVP with the Angels.
Yeah.
A native Cuban like Yunel Escobar. And someone said, "Are you the best Cuban player in the league?" He said, "Oh, no. Or in Major League Baseball." He said, "No. I think that would be insulting to take away from guys like Yunel Escobar in Atlanta who've played a lot longer than I have." So other players know how talented that guy is.
Yeah, he's been outstanding. He makes the routine plays. He makes spectacular plays. And he's only going to get better.
Garrett Anderson's had a very productive night tonight. Sliding catch in the outfield. He's doubled and scored as well in this game. And another bullet hit the seats.
Yeah.
No balls, 2 strikes. 77 pitches for Mish, 51 of them for strikes. And of those 51, 8 have been put into play safely by the Braves tonight. So an awful lot of hittable pitches from the Mets left-hander.
He was a 7th-round pick by the Giants back in 2003. Braves have a lineup, and on any given night, it's going to have several lefties in there, no matter who's pitching. And this guy, Mish, actually in his 42 innings coming into tonight's game, lefties were hitting him at a higher rate, 279. Right-handers just 240.
Another fly ball, well hit to right. Look at that thing carry out toward the fence where FRANCOEUR makes the play. And that retires the side. You're right, partner. The ball is carrying out toward right. Not deep enough, however, for Garrett Anderson in the Atlanta 5th.
Five innings in the books. Braves up 4-0. Tommy Hansen's only given up 1 hit. Let's take a look at the Braves' upcoming schedule, brought to you by BELTRAN Airways. Go. There's nothing stopping you. Back with you tomorrow night on Peachtree TV. That'll be Derek Lowe against Bobby Parnell. Boog and I'll have the game for you in the finale of this series on Thursday. That's Jurgens against Figueroa. Back Friday and Saturday for the beginning of the Phillies series on Peachtree and Fox Sports South on Sunday. Hope you'll make your plans to be with us.
Angel Pagan is the batter for the Mets, pinch hitting in this 6th inning of play. The Phillies in trouble.
They are scared to death about their bullpen situation. I don't know if they're in trouble, but even if they get to the postseason unscathed, they're very concerned about what will happen then.
And Cole Hamels isn't the same guy. Brad Lidge has blown 10 saves. Madsen's blown 6, I think. Pagan mesmerized there. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
More funny swings. Braves still 8 back on the loss column. But the Phillies bullpen is very worrisome for them.
Strike 3, a slow curveball over the outside corner, his 7th strikeout in this game and his 92nd of the year.
I think, Chip, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's the first called 3rd strike of the night, too. Everything else has been swinging. Good slow curve. Second called third of the night.
Yeah, Mish took a called third in the third. But Hansen, after striking out 7 against Houston, has 7 already. And only 70 pitches. And only 1 earned run in his last 19 1/3 innings this month.
He only gave up 5 hits in that start against Houston. And through 5 innings, he had struck out 5 and had given up 3 hits. Tonight he has given up 1 hit and struck out 7.
And the hit was a broken bat hit.
We're in the 6th. Yeah, that's right.
He looks anything like a first-year pitcher. And Castillo coaxes a walk. That's the 3rd of this game. And with 1 out, Corey Sullivan is going to bat for New York. Sullivan was the first man Tommy struck out tonight. Missed it into shallow right. Listen to Matt Diaz take over out there. Good play, 2 outs.
I could hear him from here.
I think Nate McCloud saying, I get it already.
Yeah, well, don't forget Nate and Garrett Anderson had a little face-to-face collision. They don't want to have a rerun of that. They're probably all talking about it or thinking about it with Garrett smiling like that.
David Wright's 0 for 2. With all the Mets that has been affected by Citi Field, he's Exhibit A. As Castillo got a gigantic jump. David Wright has hit just 10 home runs this year for the Mets. That's a shockingly low total for a man of his talent.
Difference in the 2 new ballparks in New York. Close to twice as many home runs hit at New Yankee Stadium.
But it hasn't affected his double stroke. David's hit 33 of those. Late, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
When you get hit in the helmet like David Wright was hit by Matt Cain of San Francisco, you never know. Everybody's different in how they react to it, how they come back from it, and how long it takes to get back in the swing of things without that being, you know, foremost in your thought process as a hitter again.
Oh, unbelievably good breaking stuff from Tommy Hansen.
And when a pitcher with that kind of hook throws one right at you, you're going to buckle your knees.
It's a 4-0 game as we head to the bottom of the 6th inning, and every Saturday is SEC Saturday on Peachtree TV with the teams you want to see and the games you don't want to miss. This Saturday, the action kicks off when the North Texas Fighting Eagles take on undefeated 4th-ranked Alabama live in HD. It's North Texas and Alabama at noon here on Atlanta's very own Peachtree TV. I guess the Alabama intramural champions were booked. Woo! Wow. Adam LaRoche, the hitter. He's homered, he's doubled, he's scored twice, he's knocked down 2, and he unloads again. Right center field. Belted and gone, baby, gone. 5-0. Greeted very rudely. Number 25 is up to 73 RBIs. This time it's a low fastball, and he drives it to right center. And even though the wind's blowing in from there, as we've been talking about, Chip, the ball's carrying a little bit. After that rain earlier, there's a lot of nitrogen in the air. And in the booth, for that matter. Here's Omar Infante. By the way, it was a great catch by the fan out there. He saved the usher. Check it out.
Oh, yeah. Good play.
Come on, kid.
Well, with Rex Barney, the late great PA voice of the Orioles, say, give that fan a contract.
Yes, he would.
And 3-0. To Omar Infante. Sends, fires a strike. Count now at 3-1.
Spent a little time with the Braves. This is his 25th game with the Mets.
And another hit.
Good night for Omar. Fastball that he was just waiting to take inside out. He has a hit to left, one to center, one to right, 3 for 3.
Jerry Manuel thinking, what do I do now?
No one warming up.
A 3-run, 3 RBI night for LaRoche. A 3-hit game for Omar Infante, who's the first. Now Tommy Hansen will try to make it a 3-sacrifice game.
Tommy.
And he's done it absolutely beautifully. Runner to second, 1 out. Boy, it's been his night in the fundamental aspects of the plate. Certainly on the mound, too. 1 away.
If you go back to the last game of the Astros series, Chip, Braves 9 runs on 16 hits to win that one 9-7. And that first game in St. Louis, a very tough 1-0 win. But then had that nice come from behind win in game 2 on Saturday. I think the final there was 7-6 and 9-2. They pounded out 12 hits on Sunday. So the offense suddenly in one of those surges where they're putting some hits together.
Oh, high and tight to Nathan Clouth. And as we mentioned again in our open,
highest runners in scoring position average in the National League. Nate McLouth right in there with Yunel Escobar on our SunTrust Solid performers. Live solid, bank solid.
Those are numbers that have to continue here at home. The Braves have to find a way over their final 13 games at home to almost run the table. And they've got to play with the attitude they're playing with. Their backs are up against the wall no matter the opponent. They've just got to go out and win. A club that at times has lost focus against struggling clubs. That hasn't been the case tonight.
No, it hasn't. They started swinging the bats early on. 2 hits in the first inning, didn't score, but we're getting some good swings at Mish right away.
A quality start for Hansen. That's 87 of them for Atlanta this year. As he has a 1-hitter working. Fly ball right center field, pretty well hit, but it's playable. It'll be Beltran taking over. Tagging from second is Omar Infante, and he'll make it without a throw.
Talking about Infante having a good night, and the fact that his average since he came back from the disabled list a little off from what it was earlier in the year. Martin Prado's numbers off a little bit too. In fact, they're off quite a bit since he's tried to play, since those exertional headaches waylaid him. His average, as you see, down to 288.
Liner to right center field. Can FRANCOEUR get that? Yes, he can. The ball tailed right at him. Prado hit a rocket to right and has an 0 for 4 to show for it. Another run across as we head to the 7th inning. Fans just bubbly about the performance of Tommy Hansen, and that line score at the top of your scoreboard tells you why. A 1-hit shutout with 8 strikeouts. And he'll start things off with Carlos Beltran in that 7th. And 1 pitch. 1 out. Boy, that's happened a lot too. They don't want to get to 2 strikes with Tommy Hansen's breaking stuff, do they?
If you get something good to hit early on, they've been hacking away, and you get Beltran on the first pitch to start an inning, that's great.
81 pitches for Tommy Hansen.
The guy with a hit is this guy.
That double came on a broken bat. Ball down and in, but he just golfed over LaRoche's head, and it found its way down the right field line. And after a 2-out walk to the catcher, Hernandez struck out to end the 2nd, and Tommy has had only 2 base runners since.
Both walks. 1 wiped out in a double play, though. Adam LaRoche is 3 for 3 tonight, 2 homers, a double. Came in hitting .333 as an Atlanta Brave, so he's bumped that up to about .340 or higher. 12 homers and 30 RBIs now as a Brave.
Line drive by Murphy into left center field, a clean hit. And he'll throw out an anchor at first base. That's the second hit, and he's got both of them.
To finish up on LaRoche, he's up to 12 homers as an Atlanta Brave. That's 4th on the team now. Tied for 4th with Anderson. Only McCann, Chipper, and Escobar have more homers than Adam LaRoche's 12 as a Brave. And the guy he was traded for, Casey Kochman, hardly gets to play with Boston in terms of at-bats. He's only had 48 at-bats since he went to the Red Sox. And at the start of play tonight, he was 9 for 48. That's a 188 average, 1 homer, 5 RBIs, versus LaRoche's 12 homers and now 30 RBIs.
So that illustrates the point you made earlier. Looking ahead to 2010, this is a Braves team that needs some pop. And certainly the fact that Adam LaRoche homers about once every 12 at-bats since putting on a Braves uniform is real good.
Great comfort level for him here, and once again proving he's one of the best second half hitters in the game.
Fly ball golfed into center field. McLouth is under it. So the Braves know LaRoche probably better than anybody else in baseball. If you bring him back, can you live with the fact that he is a second half player more so than a first half?
I don't know. I don't know what their plans are. If they're going to try to bring him back, I would guess that he would love to. You know, at what price? Who knows? I mean, he's making, I think, right around $7 million this year, and the way he's finishing this season, he's going to warrant some interest and some cash money. Speaking of cash money.
No, it's T-money, not cash money. It's T-money. Don't confuse me. I've had a rough night. He's walked and he struck out. Josh Tolley, a 22-year-old catcher for New York, is the batter, hitting .400. It's Young to start, and he lines a ball to left in front of Garrett Anderson, and 2 are on in inning number 7. Love it when young hitters take the ball the other way like that. Good piece of hitting. The first bit of trouble for Hansen since the game's second frame.
Well, it's obvious to see why Tolley doesn't have a lot of home runs in the minor leagues. He's a guy who's just looking to line the ball, slash it left, right, whatever. Chokes up on the bat, spread out, and takes one to left field there.
Pitcher's spot due next. Mets bullpen gets busy in case Anderson Hernandez gets on board. He struck out and has grounded out in the game. Florida and the Cardinals, no score, 3rd inning. Adam Wainwright goes for his 19th win tonight for St. Louis. Cardinals have a big lead over the Cubs in the Central. Tommy Hansen wants to know where that pitch was. It was called a ball. 2-0 the count.
Might have been called a ball because of the attempt by Brian McCann to the fake to throw to first. He got himself in a position to throw, and it may have screened Sam Holbrook.
Broadway Lance up for the second time. 3-1.
It's Jeremy Reed. He would be next if Anderson Hernandez can reach.
Good hitter's pitch. Now the runners will go with a full count.
No reason to try to trick him, I don't think. Chip, because his fastball's been so good tonight. Just rear back and fog one and see if Hernandez can catch up to it.
Ground ball hit towards short. And LaRoche with the stretch retires the side. Mets get a couple of hits, but nothing else. Tommy Hanson in command as we head to the 7th inning stretch. It's 5-0 last half of the 7th inning in Atlanta tonight. Glad you're with us on Peachtree TV. Just a few minutes past the 9 o'clock hour Eastern time. Braves gunning for their 76th win tonight. Have wrapped out 5 runs on 10 hits and now go to work against Elmer Descends again. And they'll start things off with Diaz, McCann, and Escobar. Let's take a look at our Longboat Key scorecard, brought to you by the Longboat Key Club and Resort. Plan the perfect summer getaway today at longboatkeyclub.com. Right back to Elmer Descends. Good play, 1 out.
Come on, Mac.
Braves have some activity in their bullpen. Mike Gonzalez is loosening up. I don't know if he's loosening up to really come into the game or not, but playing some catch. The Mets will have the pitcher spot and then the top of the order due up in the 8th. 95 pitches for Hanson right now.
Bobby said after his game in Houston, and look, whether you agree with it or not, Bobby's the manager. He's going to run the pitching staff and run his pitchers out there as he sees fit. He feels that at this stage in Tommy Hanson's career, there is a need to protect his right arm and be cognizant of the number of innings he's pitched. And this is his first full major league season. And there was some talk in the newspaper that you might see longer stretches for Hanson between starts and maybe even see him shut down at some point over the final 3 weeks.
I'd say his numbers this month would tell you that he is getting better.
And that goes along with what they're saying in New York with the Yankees, the Jabba Chamberlain rules.
Yeah, you're right.
And only time will tell if it was the right thing for Jabba Chamberlain. Escobar bats, takes low, 1 ball and no strikes. Descends has retired 5 straight. And that ends with a base hit to right field by Escobar, his first hit of the night.
This is one of the reasons that you never see Unell go into any real extended slumps. Watch how he dives into this pitch and goes the other way. All his weight is centered over home plate. You don't see that front shoulder flying out. Head stays on the ball, and everything is driving down and through, in this case, toward right field.
He's like a cobra, the way he's coiled and twisted around to that batter's box. And he strikes to right for his first hit of the night, and that'll do it for Elmer Descends in the ball game. He leads after an inning and 2/3 with 3 hits allowed. 1 run so far, that the Adlon LaRoche home run, no walks and no strikeouts. Braves looking to add on a 5-run Atlanta lead. This call to bullpen brought to you by AT&T. Your world delivered.
For Peachtree TV's Beats and Bases, I'm telling you, it's a Braves party you don't want to miss. I'll play host to live music and entertainment, plus you get a chance to win some fantastic prizes. And the best part is, it's all free. So join me this Friday right here at Turner Field for Peachtree TV's Beats and Bases. We'll see you there.
All right, JJ, looking forward to that. The Braves trying to beat the Mets and the Band tonight. 5-0 is their advantage. Kids from Pope High School.
Yeah.
Rocking and rolling in the upper deck tonight. Look at them up there. And off to the left of the band. Kids are chopping away up there. Having a great time tonight.
Yeah, the choir from Walton High School sang the national anthem.
Are they allowed to sit that close?
Yeah, I think they probably have security up there separating those two.
Garrett Anderson is greeted by Broadway Ken Takahashi. And 1 pitch, 1 out, takes care of Atlanta in the 7th inning. Escobar's hit wasted. We go to the 8th inning. It's all Atlanta.
We go to the 8th. Time for tonight's Home Depot know-how question. It comes from Ron Harding from Marietta, Georgia, who wants to know, where is the sweet spot on the bat and how can you hit the ball on it? And Ron, the sweet spot is that part of the barrel of the bat about 2 inches from the very end of the bat, back toward the handle, and above the brand. That's just the most solid part of the barrel of the bat.
Well, let's hope Mike Gonzalez misses the sweet spot as he's on to pitch now in the 8th inning.
And how can you hit the ball on it? Practice, practice, practice.
Nick Evans bats for Ken Takahashi. Mike Gonzalez on for the 8th inning. Tommy Hanson, 7 more brilliant innings of 3-hit shutout baseball. Matt Diaz moves from right to left. Ryan Church, a former Met, is in the game defensively and will bat in the number 9 spot for the Braves. Nick Evans, a guy that thought was going to make the team out of spring training, didn't, and went into a horrible slump in the minor leagues. And it's taken him a long time to get his stroke anywhere close to big league ready, and even so, still hitting just .226. And it'll drop a couple of points as he pops out to first.
That's frustrating for a hitter. You hit it over by the tarp, and there's just a little nook over there where the wall and the dugout kind of elbow over by the tarp, and there's just enough room for Adam to run over there and grab it.
So good start for Gonzalez. 1 up, 1 down for Luis Castillo. He's 0 for 2 with a walk and a stolen base. 5 runs on 11 hits for the Braves tonight. No runs, 3 hits for the Mets.
When you look at the ERAs in the second half among National League relievers, take a look at this. Peter Moylan and Mike Gonzalez around Jose Valverde of Houston. Mike's right at the 1.00 mark, and Moylan ridiculous in how good he's been.
Little looper for Castillo puts him aboard with an out. Moylan leads all National League relievers in games pitched with 79. Gonzalez third with 73.
See, that's another thing about their numbers, is that if they just barely had the minimum required for that category, you'd say, well, they haven't pitched much, but they pitch more than anybody.
Yeah. And that's, again, a real delicate balancing act for a manager. Every pitcher is different and probably needs to be handled differently. You worry about the innings piled up by a starting pitcher, but veteran relief guys, maybe not so much concern. You run them out there every day, and maybe Gonzalez and Moylan like the heavy workload. Those numbers would seem to indicate they do. There's one at second, and that's all they'll get. Gonzalez never got to the first base bag, and he's hobbling just a little bit as he makes his way past the Braves dugout. Let's see if Mike's all right.
Yeah, he came to him. It took him a long time to get stopped. I don't know if when he followed through, if he fell off the mound and had a little trouble regrouping to get to first. We'll see here. Nothing to indicate there, but definitely favoring a leg as he was coming to a stop. Vasquez pitched a complete game on Sunday, so the bullpen got a day off Sunday. They got a day off schedule-wise yesterday. And this time of year, with so much on the line, that's like a week off.
Much appreciated. But it all starts with your starter. When he goes 7, in fact, when any of the Braves starters go 7, like any major league club, you're going to have an overwhelmingly good record. And Javi Vasquez, again, the National League Player of the Week. First time in his career he's won that honor in this league. He started as a youngster with the Expos. He's also pitched in Arizona.
Check swing right, didn't think he went, but the first base umpire, Mike Estabrook, said he did, and I agree with the umpire. I think he got his bat extended too far.
Two balls, 2 strikes.
Cliff Lee with another good outing tonight for Philadelphia, shutting out Washington 6-0.
Florida and the Cardinals still no score. Cubs 2-0 over Milwaukee. That one just inside. Mike Gonzalez really wanted that pitch.
What was wrong with that? I know that it looks like Brian caught the ball well inside, but you got to remember the angle the ball's coming to the plate from.
Now a walk has runners first and second in the 8th inning. First walk for Gonzalez. And now Carlos Beltran will bat from the right side. Peter Boylan is preparing to loosen up. A little disappointed you didn't follow Peter's lead with the John Smoltz haircut, by the way.
Yeah, I thought about that. For
How
a
long
second.
How long did you think about it?
Yeah. Good off-speed pitch.
Red Sox over the Angels 2-0 in American League play tonight. Dice K back for Boston in rotation tonight, and he's firing a shutout. He went 6 tonight. Red Sox are in their pen. And Beltran, a little squiver out towards second, and that takes care of the New York Mets.
State fans, how about this? Join the Braves for their inaugural Lawn and Garden Day presented by the Home Depot and Scotts on Saturday, September 19th. Learn how to get your lawn looking as beautiful as the Turner Field grass from the experts. Braves Field Director and Turf Architect Ed Mangan, and Ashton Ritchie, Master Gardener for Scotts. For more info, visit braves.com/lawn care.
That's like Christmas Day for Ed Mangan.
Oh, my.
As Adam LaRoche goes to work and faces Broadway Stokes. Actually, it's Brandon Stokes for New York. He is their fourth pitcher of the night. And as you look out at the beautiful verdant expanse of Turner Field, you see Adam LaRoche hit another rocket, this one into the corner on one hop. Adam LaRoche has a 4-hit game tonight.
Got 12 total bases.
4 extra base hits, 2 doubles, 2 homers.
And 4 lasers. Brandon Stokes thought he'd try him with a changeup, and that didn't even fool him.
The bottom of this Atlanta lineup has been devastating tonight. 7 for 7 with a couple of home runs. LaRoche and Omar Infante. They've scored 4 times. They've knocked in 3.
Adam had a good road trip, hit a couple of homers on the trip, 7 for 25. He hit some balls. We talked about the home run he hit in Houston into the bullpen. He hit a fly ball out that same night out on Towles Hill, and he hit another ball foul that just missed the foul pole that landed in the upper deck at Minute Maid Park. He's locked in.
So are the Braves, who've scored 5 more tonight. And over there, to Omar Infante. His average up over 300. He's had 13 points tonight for his perfect night.
They've had a base runner, at least one runner in every inning, and they have 4 multi-hit innings. This guy's got a good arm, Stokes, mid-90s.
Good slider that just missed low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes. You see Infante all armored up. He's got the elbow pad protected. He's got the left wrist protected.
His 3 hits tie his season high. He'd done it twice before. His career high is 4 hits. Last time he did that was September 2nd of last year.
That ball was dancing. 1 out. Ryan Church, the former Met bats.
Hard fastball, had a little sinking action on it, a 2-seamer. Looked a little bit below the knees when it started, but wound up shoe top high. Ryan's been battling a real stiff back. Hopefully getting home and taking a day off, getting some treatment on it yesterday. Got him straightened out in more ways than one.
Nothing in 2. Church, just for whatever reason, never seemed to get out of the Jerry Manuel doghouse, if you want to call it that, for the Mets this year. Of course, you remember the concussion play last year that felled him. He really wasn't the same player after that for New York. And that's a very scary thing.
I like his swing. I like his approach at the plate and how he works the count, how he battles. It's at 265 as a Brave. A couple of homers. But limited playing time primarily because of injuries.
That ball cracked into center field. It chases Beltran back 3 steps shy of the warning track. Tagging from second, moving up 90 feet is Adam LaRoche. So Ryan Church advances a runner, but it cost the Braves their second out in the inning.
Rafael Soriano loosening up in the Atlanta pen to come in and finish. Eric O'Flaherty has been loosening up as well.
Here's McLeod. Adam Lieberman, the Braves' assistant PR man. Adam LaRoche, the last Brave with 4 extra base hits in a game. Last done August 30th of '06.
Quite a coincidence, isn't it?
Well, hopefully he'll have a few more in his kit tomorrow for game 2 of the series. Bobby Parnell and Derek Lowe for you. And we'll have it for you on Peachtree TV beginning at 7 o'clock.
Come on, big guy.
Good change up there from Stokes. Better location with it than the one he threw LaRoche. Surprised this guy doesn't have more strikeouts, Chip. 61 innings, 38 strikeouts, and 33 walks. Almost as many walks.
If you throw a straight fastball, no matter how fast, it's going to get fouled back or hit hard. Like that, over first, broken bat, but it scores the 6th Atlanta run. McLeod on his way to second. Francoeur's throw is up the line or up off target at second, and McLeod a 2-hit game. LaRoche scores. He scored 4 runs tonight.
It always looks good in the box score when your line is 4, 4, 4, 3. McLeod drives in his 63rd run. An add-on run. Soriano takes a seat in the Atlanta bullpen, and looks like Eric O'Flaherty will finish up.
6 runs on 13 hits. Prado bats. And chops to short. In between, Hop handled by Hernandez. And that retires Atlanta in the 8th. Big night for Adam LaRoche and the Braves continuing their winning ways, this time at home. your world delivered. Eric O'Flaherty is on now for the final 3 outs in inning number 9 for Atlanta. As we've told you, O'Flaherty also extremely busy and extremely effective. One pitch and 1 out. Murphy 2 for 4. In fact, he had 2 of the Mets' 4 hits and had their only 2 hits entering the 7th. Or entering the middle portion of the top of the 7th for New York. He doubled in the 2nd, doubled with 1 out in the 7th, and then Tolle and Castillo followed with singles as well.
Eric O'Flaherty has an impressive run going, and I might need Hal Galima to look this up for me. We have time, and it doesn't look like we will.
2 pitches. 2 outs. Church handles that.
95 at bats this year against left-handed hitters. Only 1 home run, and I think he's only given up like 3 extra base hits to left-handed hitters this year. If we get that, we'll pass it along, but really good work against the lefties.
Braves are 1 out away from a 5-game winning streak.
3 extra base hits to lefties. Thanks, Hal.
Phillies up 5-0 in the 8th. Rockies and Giants tee off in about a half an hour. Braves holding up their end of the bargain tonight. Florida and the Cardinals battling in St. Louis as well this evening. And that one's scoreless in the 5th. West and Wainwright, the pitchers at Busch Stadium. Ground ball to short. Escobar, good range, and good night, New York. Braves shut him out. Boy, from stem to stern, this one decided by outstanding pitching. Tommy Hanson in the Braves pen hold the Mets to only 4 hits. Huge night for Adam LaRoche, who was perfect at the plate, and the streak reaches